Welcome back or welcome to my channel. My name is Taylor and today we have a little bit of a book haul. It was earlier than expected, but I did just start a new job, so I thought I'd treat myself just a little bit, especially with Memorial Day sales going on this weekend, even though I really didn't get any sales for the books. Oh well. But before I open the video, remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you love all things books. I did a little damage at Books A Million this past weekend. I would normally wait another month before I did shopping, but like I said, new job's gonna keep me occupied the rest of the summer. So I thought I would get my little book refresh here. And again, my physical TBR shelves is too full now. So it is what it is. But I did buy one physical copy of a book I'd already read. So, and then I did buy 2 books that I am using for work/teaching. So, and I did get a few queer books, so Pride Month reading shall be good. And I guess without further ado, let's hop into the books. The first book that I got is a book that I had already read physically. This was the only book in this Love Light Farm series that I didn't own physically. And this is one of my favorite interconnected standalone romance series of all time. In the Weed follows Evelyn and Beckett. This is the spring romance. They're all themed around different seasons, and this one is spring. It is influencer. It's one night stand / second chance. It's not my favorite one in the series, but I definitely wanted to have it to fill out my shelves. So I recently finished the second book in that None Shall Sleep series by Ellie Marney, and that was Some Shall Break, which you should see in my monthly wrap-up. I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure I read it this month, although it feels like a lifetime ago. That's how this year is going. So I got the other book that she has out. This is The Killing Code. If you don't know anything about her, so far what I've read, she likes to do YA thrillers that are like historical. So the None Shall Sleep series takes place in the 1980s at the beginning of the BAU, and it follows 2 teenagers being recruited to interview and profile juvenile serial killers. This one, The Killing Code, takes place in the 1940s during World War II, and it follows female code breakers who are in Washington, D.C. trying to figure out who the serial killer is on the loose that is killing young women. And this one is stated as being queer, so I do believe we're about to have a little bit of romance take place. I am excited. Her books are stated as YA, but given like the graphic content in them, I don't know that I would recommend it for anyone under the age of 18. So do check your trigger warnings on these. Like, the name of the game for this shopping trip was I'm trying to finish series that I'm in the middle of or that I've started this year. Hence, Every Gift a Curse by Caroline O'Donoghue. This is a book that, like, YA fantasy that helped restart my journey into reading books as an adult. The first book, I can't remember the name of it, I read a couple years ago and I really enjoyed it. Looking back on the series, I don't know if I read them now, a few years into my reader journey as an adult, if I would rate them as highly. Because the more you really look at this book, it's really kind of like, the series is really like, straight white girl kind of gets explained how minority issues affect the people from her minority friend situation. But if you're looking for something witchy, YA, easy to read, it's based around tarot card magic. It does deal a lot with like religious trauma and like religious conflict with being LGBTQ+ and all that in the world, so do keep that in mind. But I am excited to finish out the series. The second book in a series, The Severed Thread. I don't know, this just says sequel to The Bone Spindle. The Bone Spindle is essentially a YA fantastical reimagining of Sleeping Beauty and Little Red Riding Hood, featuring a queer storyline. So in The Bone Spindle, we are following Fee, who is essentially the gender swapped like Sleeping Beauty. So she is essentially cursed and has to awaken, or is the soulmate to awaken the prince who's been asleep for however many years. And on this journey, she's accompanied by, I can't remember her name, but essentially the female woodsman character from Little Red Riding Hood, who's also dealing with her own things. And they run into different characters throughout. We have a little sapphic romance on the woodsman's parts, and then we have a little romance on the part of Fee and the prince. I really, really enjoyed the romantic elements of the first one. But now that we are following the events that end out that book, I'm curious to see how I enjoy it going on. This is a new release and another book in a series. This is an interconnected standalone series by Simone Sultani. Cross the Line was the first book in her debut novel released last year. I really enjoyed it. It's an F1 racing romance. Last year, the one we had was friends to lovers situation, like childhood friends to lovers. This one is One of Us is Famous, pop star, marriage of inconvenience because you married in Vegas, and like the bad boy, like disgraced F1 racer. It's definitely interesting. Simone Sultani's work does feature, at least the last one I read did feature chronic illness, like chronic disability. So I really like that one. She does do her best to like give us diversified reads while also giving us very like cute little romances. She has a lot of she has depth to the romance that she did in the last one. I'm excited to see this. Also, the last one wasn't super spicy, so I'm curious to see where this one takes us. But I really like Lauren Asher's F1 racing romance, whatever it was, Dirty Air series. So this is just, you know, feeding the vibes there. But I also will say, Cross the Line had the epilogue. I do feel like you kind of need to read Cross the Line's epilogue before you get to this, just because that one is major whiplash and sets up what's going to happen in this one, in my opinion. But you technically can read them standalone. I don't know if this seems like a rogue pick or not, but I am trying to get more into, like, well, one, I'm trying to read, like, the popular fantasies this year, because I feel like I've gone through a lot of the popular romances online, so I am trying to read through popular fantasies this year, but I feel like I have been grinding on YA fantasy, and I definitely need more adult fantasies in my life. I have, like, briefly started the Poppy War, which was on my TBR for this month, and I'm looking for those more high, epic sort of fantasies. I originally wanted the Sword of Kaigen, but I could not find that in stores. So I got The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. I really don't know much about this, other than I know that a lot of people highly recommend this and love it. I know it's an unfinished series, so I might have shot myself in the foot with that one, and I'm just gonna guess, based on the title, it features dragons. When I love dragons, if you know anything about me. I eventually will get a dragon tattoo, so I will say the cover. I don't know how I feel. This is the thing. High fantasy covers, I think that's the reason I don't buy them that much, because I like very cutesy, very illustrated cover, and I think that's what doesn't necessarily draw me to some of these more high adult fantasy covers, but I'm excited to read it. When that will happen, who knows? So the last two books I got, they were on clearance, but they are books that I got because I am teaching Egyptology this summer, and I like to stock up on books relating to the topics that I'm teaching on or researching on. So one, just so you know, I do hate, which they are phasing these out, but I hated the special edition covers, bind-ups that Books A Million put out, because for some reason, like this really black with this super metallic like cover foiling on there, really don't like. But I got Egyptian Myths and Tales. It was on sale. I have not looked in this. I'm going to start like reading it today and stuff like that. But yeah, that's that one. Obviously, I want to have it for when I teach the mythology portion. And then I got Pharaohs, the rulers of ancient Egypt for over 3,000 years. I feel like these are self-explanatory. It's essentially a week-long course, but it's 8 hours a day. So I'm going as in-depth as I possibly can. So I want to have a lot of reading material for students to look at, to show pictures and stuff like that, but also for me to help fill out PowerPoints with things that I may not have as much knowledge on, because most of my knowledge on ancient Egypt is around like fashion, dress, and culture, so helps fill out some of the other things that I am not as well versed in. Look how far I've come since reading the Kane Chronicles as a kid. Now I'm teaching Egyptology. But those are all the books that I got this past month. I'm going to try and hold off buying any more books until September, when the next school year semester starts, because we're going to try and save up the money. We've got a lot of things that we're planning on doing this year, and a lot of jobs that we've applied for that we're hoping to get. You know, it's been a hard year in the U.S., especially with the economy and the government right now. But let me know what books you're buying this month. What are you most excited to see me read in an upcoming video? And I'll see y'all in the next one.